Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition or a live stream of the 11th OVC. Appreciate you guys watching us and subscribing, and of course watching us tonight for our big announcement that we've had, kind of one of the biggest announcements that we've had, I guess, since the formation of our unit. So appreciate it. A little side note here. Hope you guys enjoyed the Mucket / Tin Cup episode and see what you guys think there. So yeah, what's kind of interesting is the tin cup and mucket thing kind of came from a conversation we had about one of the 150-mile rides that we were on, and how the mucket was really good, but man, on day 4, day 5, it was a pain. Everyone was cooking out of their smaller cups anyways. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that episode. Comment, see what you guys think on that. Look out for a follow-up episode on my anecdotal experience on the mucket here in the next few days. So without further ado, like I said, hopefully I won't keep you guys for too long. But what we want to do, kind of introduce what our app is. If you guys kind of saw our Facebook postings and our kind of comments back and forth, what we want to launch, and what we did launch as of today, is what we call the Military Arms Database. This is actually an app, mobile application that you can get on your iPhone, your iPad, and Android as well. And so as you see here, this is what it looks like on the Apple iStore, or the Apple Store. And then, of course, right here on Google Play for the Droid, you can take a look at it there. And basically, what this is it's an application that is more for the gun collector, the military historian, and more the collector of firearms, to where you're actually going through, being able to look up in real time the serial numbers of whatever weapon that is out there. Where this came from is kind of a progression. Those of you who know me, it's kind of a progression of the I guess Alice in Wonderland jumping in a hole. Those of you who know me, whatever I get into 100%, full bore, full tilt. And that, for me, came with this hobby as far as living history, reenacting, and primary research. And again, where this came from, the whole reason I started the 11th OVC YouTube page to begin with, was the idea that on the the AC forum, of course, now the Civil War reenactors Facebook page kind of took the cake now, but the old AC forum had the reputation of guys being jerks, like R.L. Topper. No offense, but guys who were just like, no, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. And what set me off was a guy getting on to me for my canteen not being right, being Philadelphia, corrugated canteen too early in the war, and then me being ignorant. I didn't know, and so again, I go full bore, down the whole way, like Alice in Wonderland. And I wanted to know, like, how does he know what is right? Because you see on these forums, you see comments, people say, no, don't use that, use this over here. Don't use that, use this over here. And in my head, I don't want to take their word for it. I want to know where did they get that information? How are they so confident that they can tell people not without really a split second's thought of like, oh yeah, no, that's wrong. And so I started doing research. And the first thing I did is, how do people know what weapons certain units had, and what, how many pistols versus carbines or whatever. And then I found the ordnance returns, and I realized, oh man, here's a wealth of information on the ordnance returns. Then I realized, well, that doesn't tell me anything about blankets and drawers and hats and other like greatcoats and clothing issue type stuff and canteens. And so then I discovered the clothing issue, or the clothing return primary records for each unit and each quarter or a month throughout the war. And where I came to is this idea of people saying, I would see on Facebook or on other forums, people would say, oh yeah, this unit, the 11th Kansas, they had this weapon, and these serial numbers were in that unit. I'm like, how in the world did you know that? And then I stumbled upon something that would take all of my time up, which was the SRS, the Springfield Research Service. Again, one of the things that came through here is those of you who are very familiar with the SRS, of course, there's 4 volumes. Here's volume 2, volume 1, here's volume 4 and volume 3. But the SRS actually has a list of not just Civil War weapons, but just kind of more antique military issued weapons. And you can look up in these publications, you can look up the serial number of your weapon, and hopefully it's in there, and then you may be able to find, oh look, my weapon actually was issued to the 3rd Pennsylvania Cavalry, Company G or whatever it was. And I'm thinking, as I was going through, I got all the volumes. I was buried in research trying to just look and on that, and then I read the credits of those publications, and I realized that with where they got these, as far as a lot of them was from the National Archives, others for other contracts or other companies that kept records that were contracted out. And then again, me being the primary reference, nerd that I am, I'm like, well, I want to see those records. I mean, how does the SRS know that those serial numbers are those? And so basically, where I'm going with all this is just kind of the down the rabbit hole thing again of, well, this is great, but where do they get all this information? And so I actually got a little overzealous, and I bought I got every microfilm roll from the National Archives that had to do not with muster in and muster out. There's like 1 billion of those records, but the vast majority of the contracts and the basically what they have on microfilm, going through those. And you realize there's some in there, and then you get the other National Archive stuff that's not on microfilm, and then you ask for records for certain factories or companies that have their own records, and so we started compiling this list of all these serial numbers, and then I have this list in a spreadsheet, and then I start going to gun shows and stuff like that, and I found myself having these SRSs in the truck, in the bed of my truck or the back seat of my truck, going to a gun show, taking a picture of the serial number and looking it up. And then I realized about 2.5, 3 years ago, I said, hey, this is kind of archaic. I mean, first of all, these books are from the 60s or 70s. I don't know what the copyright is on these. I mean, they're not new, I'll tell you that much. And so, this is archaic. We're in the 21st century. So what we did is we set out to try to make a modern 21st century solution to the idea of looking up serial numbers. Now, I will say this, even though I've mentioned the SRS, our app is not the SRS. They have serial numbers that we couldn't find. We found a few serial numbers that they don't have in their publications. At least they may have in their other database, but not that we could find. And so it's not the same thing. And in addition, we have one more mission statement. So compile this idea of being able to, in real time, to go to a gun show and look up on our app. You pull up our app, and you can look up and pick the gun, whether it's a Merrill carbine or a Sharps or whatever. You look it up, you click on it, and you can actually look up in real time while you're at the gun show negotiating a price, whether it's been attributed to a regiment or it hasn't, right? And those of you who know who've done this, obviously finding your weapon on the SRS's database, and obviously same thing for us, finding your weapon on our database, is the exception rather than the rule. Chances are your weapon's not here. But what got me going is what makes our app a little bit different too, is the mission statement that I have of just kind of figuring out what all is out there. Like, for instance, one of the things I say in my intro video that you'll see that we'll post on Facebook and YouTube is the Burnside carbine. There's more than 55,000 Burnside carbines actually issued, or I guess purchased, contracted by the government during the war in that small window of a few years. And of 55,000 Burnside carbines, we only found, I think, 1,100, maybe 1,200 Burnside carbines. And the question remains, how many more are out there? There's a lot that aren't tied to certain regiments because, not everyone kept records, or the records were destroyed. One thing that I kept finding from archives to archives to archives, like state archives or even company contractual archives, where they always said, oh, we had a fire in the 1890s, or oh yeah, we had a fire in the 1930s, oh, we had a fire in the 1960s. And it seems like all these major awesome records have been lost to fires or to floods or whatever. And where I'm going is just for instance, this Burnside carbine isn't in our database. It's not in the SRS's database. but how many more are out there? And that's kind of like my own little kind of question. Those of you who collect long arms and carbines and military historic weapons, how many are in collections? How many are out there documented? How many are in museums? And more importantly, how many are just lost to history, buried in a field somewhere that we don't know where they are? And I guess I kind of feel passionate about this, and that's why I decided to build the app. So kind of give you an idea, kind of a rundown on the app. Is the idea, like I said, you can go to the Apple Store or Google Play, download the app, give you an idea what it looks like. Once you download it, of course, I have an iPhone. This is a picture of my iPhone. And you can see in the very bottom right-hand app that I have on that last page, that is our logo, the 11th OVC logo. We debated on whether we have a logo of a firearm or something like that. But those of you who are in the 11th Ohio family, we have a pretty strong affiliation with our logo. There's a lot of history, a lot of stories, and a lot of entertaining humor behind our logo. So we decided to stick with our logo, like our Facebook and YouTube page. So we have the logo, and what you do is once you download it, you click on it. It's free to download, but you don't get too far with it, because once you download it, you log in. So this is what it looks like on the Apple Store. You download it, and then once you open it, once you download and open it, then it gets you to this page right here. And if you take a look, there's got a picture that's nice to look at, one of my favorite pictures, and then there's a subscribe link and then a sign in link. If you've already subscribed, just sign in, and then of course if you haven't subscribed, what you're going to do is go ahead and click subscribe. And what this is 99 cents a month. We really debated on this as far as if number one, if we're going to charge, and number two, how much we're going to charge. To give you a background of kind of where our passion comes from, and this whole thing that has become this awesome app that we really enjoy, is we actually have spent tens of thousands of dollars just in programming alone to build this app, let alone the time and the money of buying microfilm from the National Archives, from requesting records from other archival places, both in museums as well, and just everything that has taken basically 3 years of research to compile these lists, and a lot of man hours without any pay, all volunteer man hours. And so, we've spent tens of thousands of dollars on this app, and when you compare that to, so our investment is that, when you compare that to the SRS, who basically is the same thing of what we're trying to do a little bit. Each volume of them, it'll be a few hundred, if not $600, $700, maybe $500 or $300 if you get a good deal to get all the volumes. And so we think 99 cents a month is a relatively decent deal. It's only $1 a month, and that gives you access to our entire database. And so once you log in, you'll see here, you hit it, then you go back to this page, you sign in, and then what the home screen looks like is something like this. And where this is you'll see that you can scroll through, and it's not just Civil War weapons. We have M1 Garands. You World War II guys, you argue about the right pronunciation there, but we have M1 carbines. We have, of course, the Civil War carbines. We have the Spencer, the Merrill, the Burnside, the Sharps, of course, both rifles and carbines. We don't have rifles like the muskets. We don't have the Springfield rifle, the 61 or 63 variants. We don't have the Enfields or the Lorenz or anything like that, which we can add. But we have a variety of weapons, both rifles and pistols and carbines. Okay, and so you scroll through, and how the app works is you filter by firearm by just typing in, like Burnside, you type in BUR, and that's the only BUR in there. The Burnside shows up, you click on that, and then you can search by keyword if you want everything from the Ohio Cavalry or 6th Ohio Cavalry or 11th Georgia Cavalry or whatever it is, or you want to search by serial number. And this is what we normally do on gun shows. When we go to a gun show, we're looking, and then we pull up the app, and we look at the serial number on the gun, and we just go to that gun. We search that gun, say Merrill carbine. Go to the Merrill carbines, type, hit the search function and click serial number search, not keyword search. Type in the serial number, and then you either get it or you don't. And that's the benefit of that. So you can kind of see that's what that looks like if you see my screen right now. Also, once you click that, you get into the gun itself. And so here's a list of the Burnside carbine serial numbers. And so each one has its own individual identity with its serial number, who it was issued to, and the ability to add pictures. And this is what I want to create is a family of gun collectors, of living historians, of American history enthusiasts, to where if you, like for me, I picked up this Merrill carbine at the Union Drummer Boy in Gettysburg a couple years ago, and I got lucky. This is actually when I was testing the beta app, or the beta version of the app, and I was at the Union Drummer Boy, and he said, "Oh, I've always wanted a Merrill, right?" And he just got this in, and he said, "Oh, I haven't looked up the serial number yet. I don't know, because it takes a couple days. It's not he doesn't have the $600 to invest in the books. Apparently, he didn't look at it. It was priced kind of under what I thought it should be. And so real quick, I looked up the serial number. Sure enough, was it for an Indiana Cavalry Regiment? I was like, oh, okay, it's actually some wartime provenance there. And so I purchased it. And again, just in real time there, negotiating the price, I was able to realize that this actually had something to it. And then right away, I went to that entry in the database. I was able to upload, basically claim a serial number and upload pictures and say, hey, this is, these are them. And so, that's the beauty of it. Like I said, I'm really hoping we all kind of get together as a family, and if you have a Sharps that you love, it's in the family, or if you have a Spencer or anything like that, you want to show it off, take pictures of it, show that with that serial number exists, and put it in our database, whether it's there or not. Okay. So give you an idea. That's the idea behind it. Also, kind of going through a little bit more. Creating kind of our plan to kind of get the community together. Of course, we launched our Facebook page officially today. It's been around for actually a little while, but we launched today. We'll be marketing that and putting out more finds. And again, if you guys have one that's on the records, great. If you have one that you want to add, great. It's awesome, and so that's how it works. And so, anyways, I just want to kind of come back and let you guys know, kind of announce that this app, it's available for Apple, it's available for Droid. Download it. And those of you who like our videos as well, let's say you're not a collector, you're not going to go out, especially this time of year with everything going on, and spend how much money on a carbine that you may or may not know who had it or what the provenance is. So but still, if you want to support the 11th OVC, this is one way to do it. Simply go to the App Store, download the app, let us know, that you appreciate what we do. And this is for you guys. Again, for 99 cents a month, you get a wealth of information, tens of thousands of firearms and the serial numbers and who they were issued to during the Civil War and World War I or World War II. So we have some Craigs in there as well. Of course, we focus more on the Civil War side of things, but that stuff is there. So so basically that's the app. That's the kind of the big announcement. We'll be kind of throwing out some posts both on the 11th OVC page and the new military arms database page to kind of get the word out there that this stuff is out there. But again, guys, if you really want to support us, the Civil War Digital Digest, they were so awesome to help us with that Mucket episode here that we just released today. But please support the Civil War Digital Digest by going and being a patron on their Patreon account. But also, if you want to support us and what we do, for now, we're working. This is like phase one. We're working on a large project that's still probably another year out at least, just because there's hundreds of thousands of records that we have to tag and deal with. But for now, if you want to support us, please download the app. Please subscribe to the app, and then you have it. It's a useful database worth apparently hundreds of dollars to people who want to collect arms and see what's in there. So again, I want to say too that we don't track any data at all. Basically, if you have a secret collector who thinks that we're going to track locations or users, we have no idea. Basically, you anonymously upload, say, a serial number of a gun you have in your collection, and it's just for everyone to enjoy. Like, hey, look, this serial number that was issued to this regiment that was on the battlefield in Gettysburg, it's there. It's in someone's collection. We don't know who it is. It's awesome though, and we can appreciate that as a community. And honestly, hopefully, tag as many carbines as we can, as many rifles as we can, to develop an idea of how many are out there. Like again, with the Burnside carbines, 55,000 were purchased by the government. how many are out there? In collectors' hands in museums, in private purchase situations, or just still buried, yet to be discovered on the battlefield. So again, I hope you guys share my passion and my enthusiasm for this. But if nothing else, get the app and steal the information. Worth what it is to go shopping for carbines or shopping for rifles that have a military background. So. That's about it. A couple other things I want to give credit to. Basically, our programmer. Those of you who have used programmers before, they are they get the bad end of the stick, because we basically we're talking to this programmer. So I have to give Peter a kind of a shout out. He actually he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, which, obviously I love Oklahoma. That's where I went to college and where a lot of my family is. Of course, more of the city area versus Tulsa. But Peter, I honestly don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's for the past, I think, 2 years have been working with me on Upwork, the website that you can contract out programmers and deal with that. And he had the hard job of me saying, well, this is kind of what we want and this is kind of what we want to do. I don't really know what it's supposed to look like, but here, build it. And he did an awesome job. Going back and forth. We've had 24 different beta versions that we've tested, and this number, I think 25 that we're on now, we felt it was able to launch. It was, had most of the bugs worked out. And I will say this, guys, it's not perfect. If it ever crashes on you, please let us know. We think we killed all that out. If it ever freezes on you, let us know. And if you want suggestions on how to make this app better, let us know. You can actually, once you download it, you have your own personal page that you can like favorites, like your collection. You can put as your favorite firearms. If you like everything, or let's say you search certain firearms, you can add that to your favorites, and you have your own little collection in your profile digitally of the weapons that you like, and your own little way of manipulating your own user profile. You can suggest edits. Let's say you think one of our data, because I guarantee you there's probably going to be errors on how we copied over things, because 3 o'clock in the morning writing stuff down, our eyes get kind of tired. If you know something's wrong, suggest and edit. We have people there that review it and approve everything. Same thing if you want to upload, your collection, you can do that too. Keep in mind that it just doesn't go automatically. It has to be approved by our librarians, who you can't just upload random images that aren't correct. There has to be some proof and documentation of what you're uploading. If you want to say and edit like, hey, this serial number was for this regiment, we got to see proof of that before we approve it to go on the public database. Okay, so there are checks and balances to make sure bad data doesn't get in this website. So again, hope that's awesome. Again, please go to our Military Arms Database Facebook page, like it, share it. Please get the word out. Again, I want to appreciate Peter for all the work he did. And again, go to the Military Arms Database app and the Apple Store, Google Play, and hopefully please support us by doing this. This is one way you can support us. $1 a month. Times how many other people. We greatly appreciate the community that we have. So guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll kind of stay around for a few more minutes, but other than that, that's basically it. So again, please ask questions, private message me if you have any questions, or public, on Facebook or on YouTube, whatever it is. Let me know. So I was going to see what you guys have. So it doesn't look like there's any questions. So anyways, appreciate it. Thanks for this joining our live stream. And of course, as always, until we see you in the field next time, ride hard.